All right. Today on the podcast, we have a content creation dynamic duo, if you will, an impressive team of besties whose goal it is. I'm going to start that over because I just that's a sentence.
Hey,
Today on the podcast, what?
yeah, that's us.
You're like, it's me. That's it. Introducing Jen and Ashley. Okay. Today on the podcast, we have a content creation dynamic duo, an impressive team of besties whose goal is to make you feel like the main character of your big day. Bestie number one has been a model since 2020, where she developed a love for all things content. From walking in New York Fashion Week to London Fashion Week and Miami Swim Week, she's learned how to capture the perfect behind the scenes content and feels just as comfortable behind the lens as she does in front of it. She graduated from business school and has worked in investment management for almost 15 years. She's also an advocate for diversity in all aspects and has used her personal platform to promote that beauty is far beyond a number. Our second leading lady's passion for content creation started in 2016 when she served as maid of honor for her sister's wedding before content creation was a popular career path. Outside of being a bestie, she loves to recap events and gift that content to the hosts, whether at a wedding, birthday party, or any of your big days. Her strengths behind the iPhone camera are hype and lots of it. She's a big fan of a long recap reel and an even longer caption. They are your besties on your big day, ensuring that you don't have to lift a finger. You live in the moment and they capture it. Welcome to the podcast, the founders of Big Day Besties, Ashley and Jen.
Thank you so much for the intro.
I'm like,
yeah, they sound awesome.
Is that us?
Yes. Honestly,
I
so
love your
impressive.
business name. It's so fun. When I was seeing your event name on our calendar, I was like, yes, it's just so welcoming and positive because sometimes it's like intimidating meeting new people, especially at higher levels, and it's just so inviting. So I love your business name.
Thank you.
We very intentionally picked our name, so that's music to our ears.
Yeah, I love it. And I love like leaning into like the girly pop things.
Yeah, we have to laugh. Sometimes we'll be on with like a vendor or someone who's like more formal, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna send over our friendship agreement.
Yeah.
Like that's the contract.
Like it's a vendor agreement. We just, try to keep everything on brand.
Yes, I know. I really love that just across the board. So we're gonna get into all of that. But we love to hear, just people's journeys and their stories. So we're gonna get into each of your individual stories, but let's chat about your business first. So I want to hear about like the creation, the inception of Big Day Besties, where the idea come from, like how have you been growing it, the whole story.
Spill the tea. This is probably the first time we've exposed this on a podcast.
I love it.
I will give the person credit. We did see one TikTok in like October of 2022 that someone had done this for a very, very popular body positive influencer where she was like, I took the bride's phone and did this thing. They live in LA. There was nothing else that we could find like it. And we were like, okay, this is kind of an idea. Let's build off of this in our own thing. So the idea had been kind of circling around for the two of us for a while. Like I talked about it in my bio. I was my sister's maid of honor. There was no such thing as content creation. I just was like, let me take videos of everything and then I'll put it together to a song that I have on my iPhone and post it on Instagram. And hopefully they don't take it down because of music rights. Like it was a regular static post. And then I just got better and more passionate about doing it. And of course, with TikTok and Instagram Reels, there were more resources available. So I was like, oh, this is even easier to put this stuff together. And now it's even more fun because other people are doing it. And there's just a lot of like creative pool out there. And the better I got at it at some point, which we'll talk about on my individual journey, Ashley and I became friends and she was also really good at it and had a niche for it. And we loved to bounce ideas off of each other. And then with the finding of that TikTok, if you will, we kind of sat down and said, does this make sense to actually do, right? If someone else found a content creator or hired a content creator, there is value in it. Maybe it's just in LA and we'll find out that this isn't really the scene in Boston. So what is a way that we can kind of test to see if it makes sense in Boston? And then we really sat down in the end of 2022, came up with what we we figured was a good enough business plan at the time to do exactly that, to gauge interest. We did that. There is a lot of interest. This did not exist in Boston before, and have since even increased our pricing. And we went in full confidence. That's another thing we can touch on too, as a new business that might be difficult, like, hey, we're already increasing our pricing. We're 9 months in. But for us, it was we stepped into our full confidence and saying, when we launched, we were just trying to see if you even wanted this. And now we know the value of it.
Yeah. And back to that one TikTok that we saw too, we already were kind of noodling on this idea, because as Jen touched upon, like, she was doing it for just like friends and family events, and then I was doing kind of my own content creation for my own kind of platform and promoting like body positivity and like my kind of journey becoming a model. And that TikTok, it was literally just like I TikToked a wedding. Like the term like event content creation, wedding content creation was not like in existence. We basically like sat down and like put together the blueprint of like what that means and what that entails, and what are the different services that we want to provide to people, and what we think makes sense based off of, how long we're there, and what types of content creation do people want. Do they want just things going on their stories? Do they want posts on their grid? A combination of all of the above. So really kind of sitting down and putting that blueprint in place. And now it's kind of become a thing where we're 10 months, 11 months into the business. And it's something that we've seen definitely generate more interest, even like outside of our business. So we didn't necessarily have that like blueprint to go off of. We kind of like organically thought of this, spinning off of that, that one TikTok that we saw.
But I feel like that's even more impressive, because there wasn't someone in front of you that you could kind of be like, okay, well, they did that, so now maybe we should do something like that. Like, you really carved your own path.
Yeah. And I've used this phrase a lot in the past, and I feel confident in it. Like, there wasn't something in my life that I felt like I do this better than anyone. I love to work out. I don't work out better than everyone in the class. I love to be inspired by people. This was one thing where we really looked at each other, and I said, I don't know if you feel this way, but no one does this, if not better than me, like I do. And I love the way that I do it. So I'm ready to jump into the business the way that we've blueprinted it. And if, we need to make edits as we go along, let's learn, let's grow. But I'm happy to go to market like January 1st with exactly what we have written. Right. And that was like such an awesome feeling. So when other things did pop up and we get new ideas, it's like we haven't strayed much from that original blueprint. And that feels really good.
Right. That's so awesome. Okay, I want to back up just a little bit, because I feel like the thought of doing something like this on your own feels really daunting for most people, I would say. They're like, where do I even start? So can we talk a little bit about like, how did you build this business plan, and like what steps did you take to like make the business official, like setting rates, filing the business with the city, all those types of things?
Yeah. I mean, I think we just, like I said, we just kind of organically had the step. We had already kind of been doing this for other people. So it was just basically taking what we were doing for either ourselves or for other people and putting like that framework in place. And that's one thing that we always say is like, we wish we had kind of started and sat down sooner, because we probably had like sparked this idea maybe 3-4 months before we originally were like, yes, there's the business here. Like, yes, we should launch it. And if we had done it 3-4 months prior, we would have been even, farther along and had more experience. So it was really like just a matter of like sitting down and dedicating the time. I think Jen and I also are just like, we can get more into this as well. Like we just like naturally have like a really good yin and yang, and probably yin and yangs that people aren't necessarily expecting between like the two of us and our backgrounds. So that's always, I think, reassuring too, is like knowing like when I don't have the strengths in something, she definitely has the strengths, and like vice versa. Or we both bring like similar strengths to things. So like I said, it was just a matter of sitting down, ironing out that plan, putting that blueprint. And it really wasn't daunting to us, because it was like all these things in our brain that we just had to like physically sit down and put
a brain dump.
It was a little easier too, just candidly, we didn't like, we kind of looked at each other and said, if we're going to do this, what does that really look like? We both have outside full-time jobs that we love, and that's also pretty rare. We've found, not everyone loves their job, and that's okay. But it was like, is this a space, right? Does this have to have a brick and mortar space to exist? Or is there just a digital business in this? And really, like, that was decision number one.
Mhm.
So what is the price of failing at this? It's that we continue to do this for free for our friends and family. We already know that we love it. So at the end of the day, that's not everyone's experience with whatever they're starting. There might be a little bit more investment in it. And we acknowledge that and totally respect that. We just had the perk of not having that kind of hurdle to start.
Yeah.
So once we took the logistic piece of, you know, there's not a ton of investment. It's something you do. It's just getting the word out there. What does the marketing look like? What value does a bride or someone having a birthday or someone graduating see? And it was kind of going back in time and saying, okay, at this runway show, this vendor really loved when X was captured. This bride loved having every single photo that we call now the raw data. How does that all make sense to be a framework that they can then customize? Like, what are the bones that we put in and what are the nice add-on pieces? And sitting down like with a friend of ours, Melissa, who is getting married now next year, and saying like, how does this look to you? Like, we have this business proposal, and she gave feedback and we kept it somewhat close to the cuff. And then it was just, right, how do we launch this? Is everything going to stay on our Instagram? Are we going to pay for some kind of advertising? Are we going to try to partner? Are we going to try to offer services for free? Or do we really want to see like who sees value? Because it can be hard or intimidating. I think it's counterintuitive to give everything for free, because then there's a really hard line of, okay, when do I charge for this? Because now you have the expectation that though you love the service, it's free. And so it was more those kind of, okay, so what is the package? What do we actually offer? How do we explain the value? And how do we go to market? And for us, it was, again, low overhead. We figured out the Instagram takeover, the raw data, the content curated on whoever's behalf. And then we're going to try to just launch and be our own marketing team. And then that just folds back into the brand that we actually do content creation. And this is how we generate, you know, our SEO and all that good stuff.
I love it. I love that you mentioned the whole piece of like whether or not to offer stuff for free in the beginning, because I feel like that is something that I would argue. I would love to see the data. That I feel like women would probably do that way more often starting a business than men would, because they would feel like they have to like, oh, I have to prove that it's good enough. And
We're very triggered by the term, like, we'll do things but like for exposure.
yeah.
Like,
Well, Amanda, I was going to say when you're talking, I'm like getting these like words, and you're just so clear exactly with what you're doing, which I feel like is so important. And when you're starting a business, it's so hard to be black and white. I feel like a lot of us live in this gray area. And I think it's so impressive that you are like very clear with what you're doing and you found where you need to kind of like make decisions. But I'm also hearing so much confidence behind what you're doing. And I think as women, and this isn't a question necessarily, but it's just so powerful hearing from you too. It's like you're so confident, and it's like that's why you're so successful. And I think that you guys are going to move mountains. It's just like so incredible to hear. And I'm so proud to be part of this conversation, because it's so good to hear women say, like, I'm good at this, you know, like we don't hear that enough.
Yeah, it was really the first. I mean, I went to school to be a teacher. Also, I can just dive into my background and was teaching at a facility for kids who had eating disorders and were in treatment. So I tutored them so that they didn't stay back. Like, that was what I always call my dream job. I will still probably call that my dream job forever. It was like so fulfilling in a different way. And then life happened. That place was going to move. I was already commuting 2 hours in traffic. I went into an entry-level sales position. I've been at that company now for 4 years. I've been in different roles. And I say all that to say, I thought I knew what I wanted to do a million times. And I was probably really great at a lot of the roles I've had. And I've never felt like, no, this is exactly what I'm meant to do. And until you find that thing, I encourage people to keep searching for it, because it's a good feeling to, and not that you need to be perfect at something to have confidence, but it's a really good feeling to say like, no, I will walk into your event. I will own this iPhone. I will post on your behalf. I know that it's good, and I know that you're going to love it. Right. And that always feels
we're going to
really
make
nice.
it feel authentic to you and like what your vibe is. Like if you're a Swiftie bride, I am not a Swiftie, but I will make sure that you have the most Swiftie-esque just so that it feels authentic to you, that it's not like this imposter syndrome that somebody's like taken over your Instagram or your social. So
I love that so much. But I also love that, like, when you very first started, like you said, you were confident in it, but it wasn't something that you were perfect at first, like talking about the, random few videos from your sister's wedding that you put on as a static post, but like you were confident enough to know, like, I can get there. And you clearly have, like, already raising your rates because you know the level of service that you're providing too.
It's cool too to have seen, like, you can talk more about your own story, but Ashley, like, her Instagram became her modeling portfolio. So, there was a point in COVID where we're taking self-timer photos, but we both just loved what we were putting out so much. I think that almost builds confidence because you're like, I don't really care if this gets likes. I love this. And then you just get better at loving the thing and it happens to meet some of the trends. And then you're like, oh, wait, I'm building a skill. I'm not just an artist, if you will, on Instagram. I'm actually like getting good at content creation.
Yeah, but it is an art in a way, right? Like you have to have it a little bit and then build the skill. Yeah, let's dive into some of the backstories here, and then I'm sure we'll circle back around to the business. So, Ashley, I don't know if you want to go first because I know you've been doing, obviously from your bio, some really cool shit. So I'm sure people would love to hear kind of like how I know you're still in investment banking or in finance, but like how you kind of made that jump into modeling.
I think now looking back, I'm like, well, we had such like a synergistic path that really I think has brought us directly to this point and like the launching off of our business. So it's really cool to kind of look back and like how like Jen and I became friends. And then I was just going through like a really horrible breakup in the beginning of COVID and was just basically posting in like my like after gym, like post gym selfies, just like regain confidence. Like I said, we were just more posting and trying to regain my own self-confidence by portraying it's kind of like monkey see monkey do type of for my own. It was like inception of my own Instagram, like I'm portraying this confident person so that I can then feel confident. And then that really sparked into like a bunch of local agencies reaching out and like, have you ever thought about doing modeling, or like different brands like that I was just like wearing or like would tag in my posts, and they would offer me to come and do shoots with them. And I was like, well, this is like not something that I would ever thought of. Like I always say it was not a like even a blip in my radar to be able to go out, do photo shoots, go to London Fashion Week, like all of that stuff was not something where like I'm setting out to do this, but it just kind of like snowball effect and happened to do that. And we always joke, like Jen and I still now, but more so then, I was like, she was like my PR manager, because I'd be like, what do you think about this? Like, what do you think the caption should be? Like, how does this hit on the audio? Which again, we just kind of, it's snowballed now, and now it's a full-blown business between the two of us to do that, and we were doing it for other people, but I was really doing it for myself. And then once I started modeling, I really kind of saw like the insides of just how non-inclusive the fashion industry was, and like that was really something that I was very passionate about of demonstrating, like for my own benefit. But then like the more so people would message me of like, oh, like I really inspired by you, or like you putting yourself out there, it gives me confidence. So it was more just the like passion for that messaging behind it, and more so going to shows or doing shoots to show that there is inclusive brands out there, or just that you still can feel confident no matter what size you are. It doesn't matter, like number on the scale, all that good stuff. So then that like it snowballed into us kind of having that kind of back and forth relationship with content creation. But I was again doing it more for myself and my own promotion, but again to kind of promote that diversity of size and having kind of that platform to do so. So very thankful for all those opportunities. And now, like I said, it's something that we really enjoy doing that for other people in our clients, and especially for brides in their day. Like we want them to feel as confident and as comfortable in their skin as possible, and really like disarming you, because I've been on the other side of it. Before I started modeling, I was like I was the girl in group photos, or I'm like, please no, don't take my picture, I don't want to be photographed. But then it's again kind of something that a journey that I went through. to become confident and being able to kind of instill that or help kind of take that awkwardness away from people when they're in front of the camera, just kind of knowing, being on the other side of it is something that's.
Well, I definitely want to circle back to some of the inclusivity and size inclusivity stuff, and I'm sure this isn't like a quick one answer type of thing, but how is it that you find confidence when at one point, you weren't as confident as you are? I'm sure there are days where you have to show up and you're not feeling confident, but you have to anyways. And then your brides or clients or whoever, how do you get the confidence out of them and how do you pull it out of yourself too?
Pulling it out of myself, I think now I've just gotten to a point where it's like full self-acceptance. I really it doesn't matter what size I am. I'm never striving to be smaller. I like the size that I am. I like how I look in my, in my outfits, my clothes. If there's a bad picture, you just delete it and move on, because of what I've also learned from modeling is that it's all about your lighting. It's all about the angles, and you could be literally wearing the exact same thing. And if someone takes one picture one way and one picture another way, you're going to look completely different. Mm-hmm. So just letting that roll off your shoulders and move on. And I think that's how we bring to our clients as well, is we promise there will only be good angles.
No bad angles.
Yeah, we will. We say that to everybody. They're like, oh, don't catch me in the background. We would never. There's never gonna be someone picking their nose or doing anything silly. We're so cognizant of where the lens is and what's showing up, so that even when you go back and look at sometimes for weddings, we've done a bunch of weddings where it's 1,500 plus pieces of content, and you'll look through all of those and it's all usable content, because we're very cognizant of what angles are being portrayed. There's never a bad outtake. It might be some that are better than others depending on the lighting or something like that, but it's never something where you're going to be oh my gosh, delete this completely. So.
And with that too, it's just giving feedback in the moment. I think sometimes all it takes is someone literally just I remember I was walking to a fashion show that we produced, which I'm sure we'll talk more about, but because of Ashley's connections in the fashion industry and in the modeling industry, she wanted to do a curve only show for Boston Fashion Week this year. Made that happen, and Big Day Besties produced it, which was amazing. But on my way to it, where Ashley asked me to walk, so I'm already this is the most important day of my life. I'm walking in a runway for the first time. Someone random on the street called out their window and was like, "I love your pink suit." And I was walking a little taller. You would have thought I grew 3 inches on my way into the event. And that's literally it, right? She didn't comment on my size, my shape, my hair color, just, I like your outfit. And essentially in the undertone, how it fits your body. That doesn't mean that the size of the outfit was less or whatever. And that's, I think, what we bring to the brides, is not even calling out anything about it. It's not even, you look better. It's just you look great. Your smile is radiant. Yeah. I love this dress on you.
You're
and just
giving.
You're giving. It's everything.
Just the hype.
Any feedback in the moment, it doesn't, in that kind of almost ironically takes you out of the space of what do I look like? It's I must look good, right? So I'm just going to lead in the confidence in my next pose or do this. Mm-hmm. And we've just found that it's literally just the hype that helps them stand in their own confidence.
That also goes back to just being confident in us and doing that. We're always the token friends that are doing that at any event, and so it's we're just bringing it to other people. So it's very natural for us to be able to almost we have a series on our Instagram. If you look at it, it's what you hear versus what you see, and so it's what you see is the Instagram, it's Instagram versus reality essentially, but to the great audio and it's all such a sweet moment, and behind the scenes Jen are
yeah. This is reminding me, Amanda and I, when we take pictures, we have what is it called? Photo lens or something like that.
Lens buddy.
And oh my God, it's so hysterical. We make it have the audio and it will give us this feedback every 2 seconds or whatever. And it's you're slaying, you're glamorous.
But it's Siri voice.
And Amanda and I love it. We get all into it. But it's so
oh my
God,
thank you, Siri.
A few comments that you can get that just brighten you up, and it makes it fun. It's so awkward when you're just cheese.
Yeah. That's my biggest I think both of us too, but like when we're at events, like I want to make sure nobody feels awkward in front of the camera. We're here to disarm you completely. And I think a lot of the times, like that's, I think the beauty of content creation, because photography, obviously, like everybody wants to have, those kind of traditional pose pictures, especially for like a wedding or some type of big event where that's just kind of standard practice. But we're like getting the in between of those poses, so it definitely is a little bit more disarming to have that kind of candidness in our content as well. So there's kind of a little bit less pressure, which we always think are like the most special moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's less of it now, but still it's a huge part of it. Such a focus on size in terms of weddings too, like the pressure to be the smallest you've ever been and sweating for the wedding. Yeah, and like it's a bunch of crap. So I love that, like, being wedding vendors, really, like I know you're more than that, but when you go to weddings, you're a wedding vendor, and I love that right off the bat you like lead with that, which
I also have found like a passion in myself, more than I anticipated. I think we'll get a lot of, whether it's mother of the bride or groom or a bridesmaid, like a lot of self-deprecation the day of that you just hear. And I mean, as much as you like maybe have been a part of a wedding and you like have seen before, you don't anticipate still. And we always, like when I worked at the facility for kids with eating disorders, we called it like, a correction or like a behavior correction, just like fully divert the conversation. We literally have a zero tolerance for that.
No.
Yeah.
Don't talk about yourself like that.
Yep. Today's not about our bodies. Today's about the love that so-and-so share. Like it's always a redirection from the two of us. And we never even had that conversation until right now we're talking about it, but it is just something that I can tell we're both passionate about, because like bridesmaid number 7 is like, I hate my, and we're like, and anyway, moving right along on it, because it just became so like the common thing that we all have is that you'll agree, or like we can agree that there's things about us that we don't like. And why do we even need to talk about our bodies on someone else's day, but I've just noticed it be so normalized, and both of us, again, without talking about it, are like redirect onto something else.
My pet project, both of ours pet project, but my pet project specifically is making sure the bride has her moment, because there's so many moments that the bride's like pulled to have pictures with a zillion people, like every single person on their bridal party. I'm like, but you need a single photo shoot, and like you need to feel that you are the most confident and like most beautiful today of all days, and not necessarily just sitting there and posing for every other human that's at your event.
Yeah, and not because of your hard work or your sweat for the wedding, but just because you exist today and we get to celebrate your love.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's just such a breath of fresh air, and like that kind of energy and attitude like fills a room the same way that like the negative energy can instantly fill a room. So I'm sure that your clients and brides and everything really appreciate that. Okay, I want to hear more about this fashion show that you guys produced. But let's back up a little bit and talk a little bit more about what led you to that. Because I know you mentioned that when you started getting into modeling, you noticed the lack of inclusivity. So can you talk a little bit more about like what you saw and kind of what led you into this?
I have a lot of thoughts, so we could go on and on. There could be a whole series of the podcast that's just related to this, but basically pretty much every photo shoot that I was a part of, every show that I was a part of, there was like one, maybe two non-straight size models that would be a part of it. So it just became something that I was like very prevalent, that, oh, okay, I'm the only one that's not a size 2. And when I'm going, like my biggest panic when I went to any shoot, I'd say I did a handful of shows, but it was mostly photo shoots for the most part. And my biggest worry and anxiety was going to the fittings, because it was always just like, they're not going to have my size. And the amount of times that I've had to like shove myself into like sizes that are clearly not my size was very discouraging, to the point that I would just now if I know that the designer is going to be like, you need to be fitting into a size 8. Like, nope, sorry, I'm a 10 or a 12. So if you don't have those clothes, I'm not coming. Like, thanks.
Right,
But
like
no,
you're hiring me. Give me
Yeah.
clothes that fit me.
it's like, send your measurements and all that stuff. And like the amount of times that I've had to like shove myself into clothes, it's been,
Yeah, they're like, what's 4 sizes smaller?
yeah, they don't understand. They're like a 6 and a 10. It's the same thing, right? I'm like, no, it's actually not. I was a 6 when I was 14, but thank you. So yeah, so that was just something that I was always like, it's just something that I saw, and it was very eye-opening. And I think there's a lot of brands now that are trying to do better, and the industry as a whole is trying to do better. I thought it was very interesting that the like New York, London, Miami Swim Week, honestly, Miami Swim Week was probably the most inclusive show that I was a part of. And you wouldn't think that, being like a swimwear. You would think most people are going to be in like a size like 0 or 2, and which was obviously great. But it was surprising to me that Boston is predominantly known for being a very commercial industry in terms of fashion. So it's, you think of like high fashion editorial is New York and Paris, and then Boston is like so very, very commercial, so very like retail. You would think that they would want to have more body diversity in Boston because it's representing 95% of the population who does not fall into a straight size. And that definitely wasn't the case locally. So that really is what kind of sparked the brainchild of having this all inclusive, so all curve size. And curve means a lot of different things. It falls into a lot of different categories. So it's not just, people think curve and they think, oh, plus size. It's mid size, plus size, curve. Like basically I didn't want to put a label on it because I just want people to self-select in that and not say, oh, okay, if I'm a 6 and I'm not curvy enough, or if I'm a 24 that I'm not, gonna fit into. So it was just, we left it open. We did a casting. We partnered with a casting company called Humankind Casting, which is, they basically do like all inclusive shoots, whether it's like people with disabilities, obviously like size diversity, body diversity, like ethnic diversity, all types of diversity. So we'll give a shout out to them because they're amazing and based here in Boston. I worked with the owner of that company to do a casting.
I'm gonna interrupt you because I had never been a model before. I had never been to a casting before. And I could tell that this was something that was different in the Boston fashion scene and in the industry, because every model that left it, regardless of how their walk went or if they kind of were, feeling like they might get it or not, left walking a little bit taller. And the feedback we were getting, and again, I was just sitting on this panel as like, I'm doing the content creation today. They said sometimes we don't get feedback at all. And it's such a dehumanizing thing to just walk for someone and just like, okay, thanks. Ashley and Christy and everyone on the board was like, I love this. Do you want to try it again doing this? And like the grace that was given in that room, and regardless of the models that were selected or not, everyone walked out knowing that the show was like really important. And knowing it was important from the back end and from Ashley having kind of this conversation with me, it was meaningful to me, but I left like borderline in tears because it was just shocking that not everyone's getting this experience here in the modeling industry, but also just literally seeing history be made to the point where some straight size models were walking just to get feedback because they had never gotten feedback before on their walk.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Oh, I love that. I feel like that just gave me goosebumps thinking about all just like the positivity.
For me, for sure. Because I've been in, like, when I went to London Fashion Week, it's like you walk into this huge room and you just like I remember the designer being like, okay, take your clothes off. And I'm just like, I mean, it's like very dehumanizing. I think the modeling industry is like, it's you're the product. Like you are like, or not even the product. You're like a mannequin, essentially, a walking mannequin to most people. So it is very, very dehumanizing. So when we had that, I was like, we want to make sure, like, let's change the music. Like if you need a different vibe, like let's change it up so you can feel confident and do that walk again, or like let's practice it a couple times before other castings where you just walk in and it's like, okay, what's your name? Walk. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. I mean, you would think that would produce better results anyways, right? Like actually making people feel somewhat comfortable, even just a little bit. Like
I think we're not I think the goal to change the fashion industry is a task that is far too great for us to bear, for anyone to bear, really. I think there's a lot of work. It's years and years of being extremely cutthroat industry that it's almost ingrained in people and it's expected in people. So yeah, we can only kind of have this, one show, one area that I think was, really impactful to a lot of different people. A lot of first-time models that had never walked before, a lot of models that had walked, in New York Fashion Week or other, major shows. So it was all local Boston designers. We had 4 designers here in Boston that were able to showcase. That was honestly the biggest
That's
challenge.
really cool.
Was finding designers who have size inclusive product, because you can get the size inclusive models. It's more that finding the designers that are willing to put their clothes out there that have size ranges, and we were able to find, like I said, 4 of them. The designs were amazing and the show was great. So
do you want to shout out those designers?
So we had Bella Sarah Bridal, who's a local bridal boutique in Danvers. And they showcased like all of their size inclusive evening gowns, so like wedding guest dress. We've done content for them before, so we love them. We love the owners. We had an athleisure brand that's actually, like I said, how I started doing modeling was athleisure. So it was very full circle to have an athleisure brand, newer to the Boston area, called Cia V. Then we had a local boutique called Looks by Lopez. She's based out of Wakefield, like super cute, like think like Nashville, like bachelorette vibes is kind of the style boutique, like such amazing designs. Why am I blanking? Oh, and then swimwear. So I had to have some swimwear to bring it back to the nod of having diversity and size inclusivity on swimwear. So it was Bloom lingerie and swim. Melinda, the owner, was amazing to work with. So yeah,
that's so awesome. Such a cool, impactful project. Do you think that you'll do it again next year?
Oh gosh.
You're like, oh.
Creation for Boston Fashion Week again next year, because that was amazing.
Yes.
Will we produce another show? Stay tuned.
Yeah.
It's very TBD at the moment.
It was a lot.
You have a lot going on.
I'm really excited to be an event content creator and event planning. Like that's a whole nother animal in itself. Again, we know our strengths and what those, but I think again, it was a really exciting way for us to demonstrate like who we are as a business, and that we aren't just like your wedding content creators. We do all types of events, and have like to have all these connections from kind of the fashion world that have seen the value. That was actually when we started the business. I was like, okay, well, we can't just do weddings, because I know every single designer I've worked with, every photographer, every makeup artist, every hairstylist, every single person that is a part of a photo shoot behind the scenes wants this type of content. And there is not a single person on set during that day that is dedicated to doing that for the most part. So whether it's like a model, like, oh, like, let me just pick up the phone and get this kind of behind the scenes. After every single shoot I was a part of, everybody's like, can you share what everybody, every picture or any video that everybody got? I was like, I know that there's a market out here for this. And when we launched our business, it was very like reassuring or reaffirming that is the case, because we have a lot of vendors that are clients that aren't necessarily just looking for like one single event.
Definitely the to play, because we started and she's like, we're gonna get a ton of vendors, and I was like, I know a ton of brides, and like, the other side, how the other half lives. And sure enough, we don't really think about if we had ever done it solo. Like I can't imagine Big Day Besties without Ashley or vice versa. But if we had done it solo, I think I would not have anticipated that clientele at all. And now it was, if not the majority, like a true 50-50 split of vendors as well as, individuals. So
but that's great. I mean, I feel like it keeps it fresh. And that's actually something I've seen. So I have done event planning part-time, recently making it more a full-time gig. But the planners that I work with, like they're just so busy. Like you're not twiddling your thumbs, snapping pictures. You're running around, as you know, from producing a big event like a fashion show. You're running around making sure everything happens correctly. So I've even seen a ton of planners now hiring, whether it's someone that's just good at it and wants to like earn some extra dollars, to now legitimate businesses like yourselves to get that content just to promote their own services on their Instagram. So that way
The
they don't have
hardest
to like, yeah, wait
with
for the professional pictures and stuff, you know? Sorry, continue.
being able to capture it while it's happening, right? If
Yeah.
you're doing makeup, it's hard to be like, stay in that position. Let me film myself getting this smoky eye on you. Or to like the event planner point, it's like, if I'm filming this, God forbid something goes wrong, now I'm not only in the wrong, but also I have it on tape that this didn't go the way it was supposed to. So we just, Ashley really brought to my attention that it is often an afterthought. And one of the hardest things to do is someone who provides a service that is at any point like using your hands or needing your brain space.
Yeah.
Our kind of catch-22 is that we don't have our own
Besties.
big day besties.
I know, right? But I feel like the content that you capture promotes the service that you have. But it would be nice. You guys should find like an intern to follow you around, to film you filming people.
It's a 2024 goal for sure. I would love to have an intern to help with some of the logistics and kind of the day-to-day legwork.
And we say that all the time.
About the logistics, I feel like we've like beaten you up about your business, but I want to get into all the tips and tricks. I want to steal your minds. I want to open them up because I feel like, and Amanda even wrote this in our notes, like help us millennials because we get stuck sometimes. And Amanda and I get stuck all the time of like, we don't start because there's so many things that you can do and so many ways you can go about it. So like, for people starting businesses or people wanting to just showcase their day, what are some tips and easy, simple like tricks that you would tell your friends?
Well, to start off, we're both you're millennial, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I forget. I'm 35, so I'm definitely like full millennial. And yeah, I think the biggest trick that I have is just like I'm very much kind of like a consumer of content. And it's a lot of just learning kind of seeing what other people are doing that works and then how you can be creative with it. That's one thing like we're very focused on is having like original content and not just, obviously there's trends and like we'll do the cute fun trends, but we don't want to have a bride that does the same trend as every single other bride. And like we have calls all the time with prospective clients and they're like, oh, I saw this, X, Y, and Z trend. And we're like, yes, but let's maybe do
a different prop or a different movement to, depending.
Right.
It's a little jargon seeing it, but you know what I mean?
Yes.
The other thing is using the resources at your fingertips. So like if you are a consumer of social media, if you're even on TikTok or Instagram, like what are you looking at and just being mindful of that as like a first step. So, what I liked about this was this person was just talking to the camera, like try a story, even if you don't post it, talking to the camera, talk about your services. Does it feel natural? Do you feel like a robot, which sometimes we all do? Or like I am in customer success in my full-time job. And sometimes I'm like, oh no, I was using my customer success voice. Like I need to drop that.
Yeah.
And not being afraid to be yourself, because the best thing that I've found, and our social media strategies outside, like on our personal Instagram, are very different. I'm someone who's like, I just like this song. I don't care that it's trending. And like this moment goes to the song. My coffee looks like, whatever, John Mayer, whatever song. And I'll post that. So like not feeling the need to do it perfectly, but just to start. So, right, whether that's you make something and you just draft it, or you talk to the camera for 15 seconds and just send it to your 3 friends and are like, can I have some feedback? I think it can be intimidating to be like, there's no, up to the right arrow on this. It's not trending. It doesn't get, 15,000 likes or views. So it must be failing. Like I have countless videos. We have countless videos. Even the business has some that are in the like tens or hundreds of views. And that's just, you can't predict the algorithm, but we continue to use the resources at our fingertips to get to the, wow, I don't know why that one hit. It's like us falling over, laughing at ourselves, and people love it. And like, okay, great. And the next one of that might not hit, but we keep doing it and just like being consistent with trying, even if it's not posting it. It's just like making the effort, getting used to the tools that Instagram or TikTok provide to you.
Yeah. The consistency and quality is far more important than any numbers or engagement. That's like the first thing actually that we put in our friendship agreement, our vendor agreement. It was like the first line item that we put in was, we don't care about the engagement. Like, we care about it, but we're not focused on getting the numbers. We care about the quality, and we want to make sure that you like the quality of the output. We're not necessarily like going to promise that anyone's going to get viral or go viral.
I mean, that's something you can't promise, right? It's like, of course there's a rhyme and a reason, but a lot of times it is a little random, like something that you work really hard on and you think is gonna, like, this is gonna be it, and it gets the 200 views, and then the one of you laughing at each other is like 5 million.
Joked one day, it would also like time. So right, consistency is key, and finding a time that works for you to post, but there is no true rhyme or reason to, this day at noon or this day at 11 a.m. It is what it is. Like, you're going to hit the algorithm you're going to hit. But Ashley always jokes at me again on my personal that I'll just like throw something up like last minute because I just found a sound that I like. And I posted a video of my boyfriend and I from like my brother's wedding and put it to like a sound from The Office. And it had like, 200, 300 views for weeks. And then all of a sudden it hit the algorithm and had 53,000 views. But like, again, not the intention, not ever the goal, but for weeks I was just like, well, that was a dud, but I liked it. So like, it's cute.
Yeah. I think that's so important too, of just like, it's okay if you're not going viral. And it's like, it shouldn't be it's like, sometimes it's not even the best content. It's just like the algorithm. And I think there's so much like pressure off your shoulders of like, it's not you. If you're not like getting a billion likes, it's not because of you necessarily. It's because of this algorithm that we're all trying to figure out.
Yeah. I talk too about like, sometimes you go viral for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Like, and it goes back to why social media can be challenging and harmful. It's like, her eyebrows look weird. So then you watch your video and you're like, my eyebrows look weird. This is now trending. Like, this is awful. And that does happen. You acknowledge that, right? So sometimes I'm happy with my 500 views of the people that I know, this life update, and going on about my day.
Yeah. And
that's why you have your best friend to then hype you up when you're freaking out about your eyebrows.
Yeah.
But I think Ashley.
Level two, it's really important to not focus on like the creator that has 10,000 100,000 followers. Like, I think there's something a little bit gross about attributing someone to be successful based off the number of followers that they have, or think that someone's more important than another person because they have more followers. So you could be, I would say, pay attention to the
I mean, it goes back to that TikTok. We laugh all the time. Our like TikTok is kind of us peeling the layers back. Like, this is who we are. We'll do like, come along with me so you see like what our personalities are like, and our Instagram's more of our portfolio. But at one point we tried to do a transition. Like, we're like, okay, we'll try to be trendy on TikTok. And Ashley's like, okay, it went viral, or like mini viral, but it's like 13-year-old like boys. Like, it just like went viral.
Right, you're like, this virality is not helping our business.
I'd rather literally three likes.
Every time I open up TikTok, there's 10 more shares or whatever, or saves or whatever it is of that one TikTok that we posted maybe like
3-4 months ago. Yeah,
like a couple, maybe a couple months
That's
into
so funny.
It's like a transition tutorial.
But I laugh because we'll have other videos that literally have 3 likes and 2 of them message us to work with them. Like, I'd rather the 3 likes than the 20 something K.
It's literally like 12 girls that are saving my transition tutorial, which, great.
We love that too, but necessarily to grow the business.
Exactly. Well, I feel like that's a good message though to send to people that are trying to like promote a service or a business or whatever it is, because there is such a focus on social media that like, the follower count, all of that is not the end all be all at all.
You're like, oh my God, this video went to 2 million or whatever. It's like, that's great. But
awesome.
What was it a high quality video, or was it just something that like hit the algorithm correctly?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what did
Yeah.
you actually get out of that?
Yeah, and not being intimidated by your, quote unquote low engagement, because I remember we had someone say to us, like, I'd love to see more on your page. And we kind of looked at each other like, there's a lot. We were like 2 months into business, I think. There was
Like
maybe
50 posts
already. And so at least maybe she hadn't seen it, frankly, and at least she had something to go back to. Like, even if it didn't get the engagement she was, I don't know, predicting that we should have at that point, she had like a portfolio to look back onto because we were consistent, even if it didn't, hit her algorithm.
Right. No, that makes so much sense. Okay. Caitlin, unless you have any more questions, I want to
I'm
wrap up
excited.
with a rapid fire. A little fun round to round it out. Okay. Are we ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it for both of us or just one? Will you call us out individually?
Questions are for both of you, but you can each give your answer.
Okay.
You know? Okay. First one. Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
Love it. As true millennials.
Same.
Your tip or something that you do to channel your main character energy.
Ooh. I love doing my makeup. Not that anyone needs makeup. I'm sorry, but doing oh no, you know what? You can have makeup. Giving yourself a blowout. Something about having hair done just changes the course of the day.
Yeah, I was gonna say really good beat.
Yeah. Or like a good outfit. Like you look good, you feel good.
Yes. It's like the fake it till you make it, but also definitely helps you like, maybe I'm feeling better today.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Get ready with me, story time or trending sounds with like a dancer transition.
Oh, okay. Well,
hard.
I think it's gotta be
Trending for me.
trending sound with the dance.
Well, she said with trending sound, period.
Yeah.
Right.
Dance transition, whatever you want.
I love a get ready with me. Wait, I don't know. This is hard.
Can we meet in the middle and do like a come along with me?
That's our niche.
You're like, I'm
There are
making
no
my
rules
own.
to
I'm
this
a
rapid fire
content
round.
creator. Do not put me in boxes.
We're like, both are awesome.
Yeah.
Like we need to end this interview right now.
If you asked us if we launched, it would have been get ready with me for sure.
Yeah.
I also feel like your business's content is like less get ready with me, more
trendy.
Yeah. Trending sounds. Come with me,
Yeah.
like a more appealing video than just that.
Yeah. We could probably do a whole series on get ready with me, like event, like what happens at our event.
Yeah, that actually would be a good one.
Maybe next year.
Yeah. Okay. Again, going back to like TikTok and social media, what are your go-to girl dinners?
Oh,
Girl dinner.
So we both are soup girlies, which sounds a lot more interesting than it is. Like, everyone's like crackers and cheese, like soup is just as easy, but literally the Trader Joe's roasted red pepper tomato soup, and I just cut up peppers and put it in, and you'd think that's my like go-to, or like fancy ramen. I literally cut up garlic and ginger and like put that in the broth, and I pretend that it doesn't have like radioactive ingredients because it's heavenly.
No, your fancy ramen's definitely hers for sure. Making soups from scratch is my like happy place.
We're so extra,
but I know, but that's not a girl dinner. So the real girl dinner, I would say, is I've recently been fixating on Bob Evans mashed potatoes. It's a staple.
Love.
Put a little shredded cheese on there, some pepper.
Yeah, we pretend we're chefs. All the help we need, and we're like, oh, but I put a cherry on top, so
it counts. Okay, it counts. I have a good Trader Joe's soup easy thing for you, okay? You take that roasted red pepper, whatever, tomato soup, put in the cauliflower gnocchi, and then spinach, because the spinach just kind of like cooks down,
That sounds okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
New girl unlocked.
Trader Joe's.
Yeah,
I'm a big Trader Joe's gal.
Yeah, I definitely identify as like a lazy Trader Joe's kind of cook.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Easy sides, easy putting it together. Okay. A non-negotiable in your day.
I have a few. My skincare routine.
Mm.
More because I feel like if nothing else gets done, I like took care of myself in some way, or movement. And I don't like to say a workout because sometimes movement is literally a 10-minute stretch, but just something where I like carve out time for myself. And those, like the skincare routine and the movement, both are typically uninterrupted by other humans. So I would say the overarching is time for myself, but either my skincare routine or movement.
Yeah,
Love
can you tell your best friends, because that's
You
literally
serious?
the
Yeah.
exact skincare
They are
routine to me.
besties.
I can't even like think about not doing it. So but yeah, definitely some type of movement. Like the days that I don't at least be able to go and like walk my dog, I'm like, I just feel gross.
Yeah. That's the good part about having a dog. It's like such a good excuse to like, well, if nothing else, I left the house and got some fresh air because this fucker is gonna just be so annoying all day if I don't.
Yeah, I need to like have some type of movement in the morning to really like set my day off correct.
Mhm.
Because by the time 5 o'clock comes, I just want to be like a couch potato and not do anything. I have run out of all of my energy.
Yeah.
We're not afternoon workout
No.
girlies.
Me neither, especially this time of year. Are you kidding? It's
Yeah.
time to put on pajamas at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay. I have two more.
Okay.
One.
I love them a lot.
Yeah, it's
Looks-
fun.
Oh, good. Do you both have your phones in arm's
Yeah.
reach? Okay. I want you each to be honest
Yes.
and look at your screen time. What is your current
Oh,
average screen
I actually got this
time?
morning. It's like 9 hours, I think.
Oh my god. Oh, I didn't see that
Yeah,
for me. I think
9 hours, 3 minutes of screen time.
is this in settings? Because mine did alert, but I for sure swiped it away. I'm gonna find it.
Yeah,
I
I
turned those
always
alerts
am like
off
that.
because I would just
Yeah.
always swipe them away. Like this isn't helping.
Mine did tell me I was up last week for an average of, oh my gosh, show me.
She's like 5 hours.
5 hours and 49 minutes.
She's a show off, Ashley.
Tell I was being authentic when I said I consume a lot of content.
Yeah.
I also,
I like the
Yep.
truth.
Scrolling on Instagram and TikTok is
It's
just
your job.
I also feel like it's not a
Yeah.
fair game because like I work a 9 to 5. So if I'm not on this little screen, I'm on big screen or like
Mhm.
medium screen and then TV is big screen. So like,
Absolutely.
but yeah.
Okay, I lied because I have just two more because I have one that goes along with this now. So obviously, like being on your phones is part of your job, whether you're at the event shooting content or you're at home consuming content, which is market research. So how do you kind of like set that boundary and unwind?
I try to do, I don't have a set amount of time, but no phone like during bedtime. And that's like pretty general, but like my bedtime might include my like beam drink and doing my skincare routine and laying down. It might include like watching TV, but I know I'm not the only one. Like I love distracted TV. Like I have my phone on or I'm on my laptop, but I'm also
All
watching
the
a show.
screens.
Yeah, I have 7 screens. And making sure that like when whatever needs to get done with us is done, whatever's done for my full-time job is done, like phone goes away, laptop goes away. And even if it's just to lay down, like it sounds silly, but like there's no phone in bed. That's
Yeah.
like that's my like helpful way to shut the brain off. We check in with each other, we're good. Or we say like, hey, I'm going to bed. And it's like, watch this one more thing and then you can go.
love
But
my boundary is I have none, and Jen sets the
Yeah. You know, we all need that accountability, buddy.
Yeah.
So,
boundaries. My brain will never shut off until the moment I just am too tired to exist, and then
Yeah.
roll sleep.
yeah.
And then at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., we are
On again.
and pop in like it's rapid fire. So yeah, I'm annoying, but
you know what? We're all doing our
I love
best,
it.
and that's all we can do. Caitlin also is my accountability buddy because every single episode of the podcast, I'm like, okay, so let me talk about this TikTok that I saw. And she's like, get off of TikTok. Stop.
She's like, have you seen all of this? I'm like, no. And then she'll try to like pretend. And she's like, I read an article the other day. I'm like, no, you didn't, girlfriend.
Listen.
Yeah, I love it when like everybody else is like, oh, like what book are you reading? I'm like, I didn't read that book. Because again, my full-time job is like so like mentally demanding, and then it's like this is like a creative outlet. Like anything beyond that, I'm just like watching Real Housewives and rapid fire Jen, and there's no like in between.
Totally. Also a big Bravo girly, so no shame in that. Okay, last one. Something that you wish that you could tell a younger version of yourself.
I'm not saying start earlier. I'm challenging myself
Yeah,
to
we
not
always
do
say
that.
start sooner. So I mean, that's
Yeah.
one way to say.
I would say you're gonna find your thing. Because I talked a lot, or we started this, I guess, to bring it full circle on like how confident we feel in this job. And I think it's easy in your early to mid to late 20s to be like, I haven't found my thing. Everyone else is so like secure and sure of exactly what they do for their either job or in their relationship. And I felt like in retrospect now, there was a lot of time where I felt like I was in limbo, even if in the moment I was like, it's good enough, I'm okay. And once I found this, it was like, oh, this is the thing, you found it and it's out there and it exists and it's not just a fantasy. So I think I would like give myself the confidence and the security to tell that younger self to enjoy the time while you're figuring it out. I think there was a little more stress than I would have hoped for my younger self, but we did find the thing. So
yeah. Mine's gonna be a little corny in the beginning, but just bear with me. I have this tattoo. It says, "If everything's all right in the end, if it's not all right, it's not the end." And that I think is something like when I got that tattooed, I was just young and stupid and didn't have any real meaning towards it. But it's really true. Like I always like I go through. Everybody goes through a lot of hard shit in their life, and hard stuff.
You can swear on here, it's fine.
And just being able to bet on yourself and know that that's not going to be the end, like you're going to get through it. And when you're in the hard stuff, it's hard you get tunnel vision and you don't necessarily see that. But just reminding yourself that like you will get through it, you will come out the other side because you are confident in who you are. And you like my work ethic to my core is something that I'm most proud of. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I love it. Caitlin, do you have anything else?
No, I'm just soaking in all the advice over here.
I know, the greatest of energy. I wish that we had a podcast studio built out so we could have been all in the same room together, but we'll make that happen another day. Well, shout yourself out. Where can everyone find you? Anything coming up? Give them all the deets.
everything is at Big Day Besties for the business. Our Instagram, like we've mentioned many times on here, is our portfolio. If you want to get to know more about us and our goofiness, our TikTok also at Big Day Besties. I am at Barbell Jen on everything. If you want to know more about my individual goofy self,
I'm at Ashley Elizabeth Gregory. It's the longest Instagram of all time.
It's easy to spell though.
Yes. Yeah.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you seriously so much for coming on and making the time on a Sunday. And I'm so excited to keep witnessing the journey.
thank you for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Woohoo. All right.